It's great to see you all here today. Our planning committee, we were so excited about the opportunity to be able to work with the North Superior Workforce Planning Board and with the Urban Aboriginal strategy committees to offer these workshops. And the workshop that we're going to do this afternoon it provides you with some thoughts on options other than the traditional kind of going into the workforce. You get hired for a job, and you do a job, and you work for somebody, and you work as an employee. Now I'm seeing a wonderful range of people here. I see young people, I see professionals, I see probably some older workers. Are there some business owners in the group? How many? Oh, excellent. How many might consider owning a business at some point? Oh, that's really great. That's good to see. Now, something that when it comes to starting up a business, you're going to go into something that you're really passionate about and something that's really important, and that I think that maybe it's probably better for me to stand over here. Yeah. So, an important thing about considering the option of going into business and having your own business is getting to know yourself, getting to understand your strengths, getting to understand the things that you're really good at doing, and something that just is really important to you and that you wouldn't mind spending lots and lots of time and energy day after day doing, because running a business is different than if you're working for someone else. If you're your own boss, and you have a lot of things that you have to consider. You've got to consider not only the supply or product that you're doing for your business. You've got to consider the financial part. You've got to consider if you've got employees, how you're managing that. So there's sort of a management role in all of that. And how many of you would say that you like control, and the idea of controlling your own future or things around you? How many would you put you in that category? Oh, well then, that makes you a potential candidate because being a control person is important. Now, and we did talk about passion and something that you really like. Anyone like to share something that's really important, or that you see that you would just, even if you do it as a hobby, that you'd like to share with us, that you think that if you spend all your time at it, you'd like to make money doing it as well?
Volunteering around the city.
Okay, so is there a special kind of volunteering? Is it helping to make something? Is it
I kind of do it recreational.
Okay, so
sometimes I go to the youth job and also with the regional multicultural youth council, and with some activities held at BSC High School.
So you're a very social person, and you like being with people. And so that's an excellent quality, actually, because when you're running a business, usually you're not in isolation. You're working with people, trying to get customers, trying to make a network. So that's great. And I saw another hand here.
Yeah, I like helping people, like offering my personal services and time.
Mm-hmm.
To help in a crisis or emotional, whatever it is. I like to help in that way. I feel like I contribute more that way, and then rather sitting in an office doing paperwork.
Okay, and so you would like to, you like control, you like working with people, you like offering a service, and so the challenge is finding a way, how do you make that into a business?
Yeah.
And there are ways that you can do that, and we are actually, John later will take us to a self-assessment tool, or we can go online to a self-assessment tool that might help give you some ideas. But you actually do, if you, some of you have red, some of you have yellow, but you'll see a chart, and this is a very basic kind of a self-assessment tool, is entrepreneurship for me. And clearly by looking on the chart, and you can't, like any kind of a survey, it's really hard to just, there isn't always a very clear, if it says this is definitely not for me. Sometimes a survey, though, will give you an idea of your general interests and your skills. So You know, we talked about commitment and control. That first one, no one has to tell me to get to work. I figure out what has to be done and do it before I'm asked. So, so think about that. If you're the kind of person that you like control, you don't wait for someone to tell you what to do, you can figure things out and you figure it out at you know, your own way, then if you're a wow, that's exactly me, that would be a good quality for someone who's going into business and is an entrepreneur. I like to be in control of whatever jobs I'm doing. So we talked about control. If you don't like control, then according to this, and you'd probably agree, you know, your business is definitely not for you. Is there someone who'd like to read down the list for us as we go through? Any volunteers? Okay. Yeah, it's okay. If you continue in that way, so continue with the next one.
Okay, I'm really satisfied with the way things are. I want to change them, make them better.
Okay. Do you want to answer, or does anyone want to share what they think about that? So, you know, think yourself how you would rate in that. So, next one.
I'm good with people. I enjoy creating teams of people to tackle a challenging task.
And you know, if you're putting together a staff, if you're involved in a business that involves more people, then obviously your people skills are going to be really important. Next one.
I really take no for an answer. I am known to be very persistent because I know I can accomplish much on the first try.
So I'm not sure that everyone heard that, but if you don't like taking no for an answer, then that probably links to the control and would be a good indicator for you. Next point.
If I'm told something is impossible to do, I often can't resist seeing it as true. I don't mind failing if I learn something in the process.
You know, sometimes businesses don't succeed the first time, or it takes a really long time for a business. It could take years to get to the point where you'd like to be, where you're rich and famous and you're on television and you're you know, able to take long holidays and you're able to do the things that you like. And so you have to, you have to have faith in yourself, and you have to be the kind of person that's not going to give up when things get hard. Next one.
Whatever job I have, I need to feel that I'm accomplishing something, not just putting in time.
And you know, you could almost say that about anything, right? I mean, no matter what you're doing, whether it's your volunteer work or whether it's school or whether it's anything else, you want to feel like you're getting something out of it and you're accomplishing something. And so that one probably would work whether you're running your own business or generally as a life skill. Next one.
More than anything else, I love to earn money. It gives me freedom and power.
And is there anyone here that would say no, they don't want to earn a lot of money and have freedom and power? So going into business and being your own business owner, it gives you an option to create your own, to generate your own revenue and do it your own way. So next one.
When I'm working for someone else, I'm always thinking of how I change things if it were my business.
Okay, so again, think for yourself personally how that would work for you. Next one.
I'm willing to accept responsibility and take the heat if my decisions are wrong, but I want the credit or rewards when I make decisions that produce the right results.
Yes, and so going into business, you'll be making decisions where sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. So you need to be able to accept when it doesn't work and then commit to finding ways to either change what you're doing or find ways to make it a success.
Okay, when I'm doing work I really like, I don't mind working hard for long hours. In fact, it doesn't even seem like work.
And that's why we were talking about passion at the start of all of this, because if you're not passionate about what you're doing, going into business means a lot of your time, a lot of energy, and we're going to hear from a business owner about that path that she took. And so you want to be sure that you can commit to hard, long days doing something that you really like.
I have dreams I want to pursue, and I won't be satisfied until I find out whether or not I can achieve them.
Okay, so we are going to take some time now to hear from someone who had a dream and is working on achieving her dream. And so we'll hear from an entrepreneur and her experience.
Can everyone hear me? All right, I'll introduce myself again, just in case you didn't hear. My name is Rhonda Bill. This is my husband here. We moved to Thunder Bay a couple years back, but I grew up in northern BC. Is anyone from northern BC or has family or friends from there? Awesome. It's really great up there. Oh, great. So I'm from Terrace, BC, and there's a cooking program there, and I went, got my professional cook certificate there. And over the years, I did some teaching as well. So now that we're in Thunder Bay, I wanted to find something that, like Heidi said, suited my skills and suited my passions. So, okay, I'll talk a bit louder. So when we came back to Thunder Bay, there wasn't much for jobs. It was during the economic downturn. So I ended up finding a job at a call center and then going on mat leave to have our first child. Coming back after having my child, I thought, should I be going back to a call center when that's not what I love? I want to do something that I love. I want to cook. I want to be with people. And those are the two things that are my marketable skills, as they call them. So I decided to start my own business. Has anyone ever heard of Pero Enterprises? Okay, great. I joined Pero last year and spent a year going to their workshops, learning from them, going through a business plan and actually building my business plan to create my own catering company. So this is my company. It's kind of hard to see, but it's a Fine Fit Catering, and I focus on special dietary needs. So diabetes, lactose intolerance, celiac, gluten intolerance, things like that. That's what I want to focus on when I cook for people. And so when I started, my plan I said, okay, I want to do meals for people, especially those that can't get out often. So that was the primary purpose of my plan, doing meals, delivering it to their homes, and I would run cooking classes. So as time progressed and I actually started the business, I started in October 2009, I realized it doesn't always work out the way you think it's going to work out. So I've adapted the plan as we've gone along, and I've done a lot more event catering with a focus on special dietary needs. Almost every event that I cater has at least one person that says, I can't really eat cheese, for example. Can you make me something special? So by making something special, I put myself over and above my competition to say, I have something different to offer. I'm not just like all the other caterers. So that's been exciting, a good process for me. But I'll go back a little bit. There's a couple of reasons why I decided to start the business. Not just because of a poor market and not a lot of opportunity to get back into the workforce with something that I like to do, but because I have a family. And I know I'm looking around here, a lot of you probably do have families that you need to take into consideration when you go to work. I have a 2-year-old and a 2-month-old right now. And so finding a job that empowers me, that I'm not just at home, I can actually do something and take care of my children at the same time. So that was something that pushed me into starting my own business. Here are some of the challenges that I encountered throughout the process. There will always be challenges, but with whatever challenge you come across, there'll always be a way to overcome it. The one I mentioned before, your business plan that you come up with, the plan that you have in your mind, what you want your business to be like, will often need to be fixed a little bit, to be revamped. Don't be afraid to revamp it. I've altered my plan a bit and I've changed things, but for the better. And this year, I feel like I have a much better idea and feel like it'll be a lot more successful than I did last year. It can be overwhelming when you're trying to do everything on your own. I'm cook, delivery girl, manager, I run my own bookkeeping, and that can be overwhelming sometimes. I'm not great at bookkeeping, but I love to cook. So in the process, I've learned when you're starting your own business, find support. Find your friends and family that can do things for you that you don't do very well. And so my husband, he put together this Fine Fit Catering website. I don't do websites, but he does, and he does a good job with them. So that was something that I could delegate, that I wouldn't feel overwhelmed trying to figure it out on my own. So if you have a chance in the future, you can poke around the website and see kind of what I put together for a catering company. When it comes to bookkeeping, I'm still in the process of looking for someone to help me through that, because you don't have to do everything on your own. And I think as the business gets busier, at first maybe you have to because that's all you can afford. But as your business gets busier, don't be afraid to delegate. Don't be afraid to get people alongside you to help you out. The last little challenge I want to talk about is when things come along that you're not really prepared for. So when we found out we were expecting another child and I was right in the middle of starting a business, it would be very easy to just say, you know what, this isn't worth it. Let's not worry about being an entrepreneur. But it is worth it. You just have to make things work. And if you're passionate enough about something, it will work. Yesterday I was at a workshop. Has anyone ever heard of the Cupcake Girls from TV? It's from the W Network. They were in town yesterday, at least one of the girls, Heather. She was in town doing a presentation at a Paro event, and she said that always remember the 3 B's of business. It's business, babies, and balance. So if you've got babies in the mix, you learn to balance it out. Be a good mom or be a good dad and spend time with your kids and balance it well with what you're doing. So it means that this year I won't be working 60 hours a week because I have kids at home.
Yeah, right.
But I will grow the business slowly and make things work around my family. So just don't let it stop you. Don't let it discourage you. Just because there are things that come into your life that you maybe aren't prepared for or feel overwhelmed by. Here's some successes, because we always want to talk about successes. So when I first started the business, I applied for the Northern Ontario Heritage Fund. This is for young entrepreneurs. So for those of you in the back and on the side there, if you are under 30 and have a really good idea for a business and put together a plan, you have the potential of getting a grant for $25,000. And it's pretty great. It's a grant that helps you get your business started. So I was able to get this grant for my catering company, and I was able to renovate my kitchen so that I can teach cooking classes out of my home. And that saves me the effort of renting a kitchen and putting my children in daycare and doing all those other expensive steps. So that was amazing. I was also able to purchase catering equipment and advertising and things like that to make starting a business a lot more feasible. Now there's a lot of other funding opportunities, and I think JohN might touch on those as well, potentially. You can also check the Paro website, if Steve can put that up. There's different opportunities there. Always be checking websites and doing your research, because there is money out there for people that are passionate about something. Not just young people. In fact, the Northern Ontario Heritage Fund has another grant for up to $100,000 for those over 30, depending on what you're doing. Another thing that was successful is the idea of word of mouth marketing, buzz marketing. You don't have to spend a lot of money marketing your product if you get yourself out there and promote it yourself. Get people talking. And word of mouth worked really well for my event catering. One company would hire me for a lunch. They would tell their friend that worked at another business, and then they would hire me for lunch. So I would say 90% of the calls I got for catering were from, oh, I heard about you through a friend. So that's not very expensive to do, and it works really well. So I'm just going to review a couple things that I've learned so far. I've only been in business for 1 year, but through some of the challenges and successes, I've learned a couple things. For one, don't be afraid to try what you love. If I was still working at a call center right now, I would not feel very excited about my life. It would be pretty hard to wake up in the morning, but I get excited about this because I do love cooking and I do love teaching classes. Fear is what holds us back for finding something that fulfills us and makes us happy. So put your fear aside, and if you do have something, a marketable skill, if you have something that you love to do that you think you can make a business out of, try it. Number 2, find support in your family and friends. Join a biz cluster, which is like just a group of other people that have the same ideas as you, that want to start their own thing. At Paro, we always have biz clusters or biz circles, and I've joined one with a group of ladies, and we help each other out. We share ideas with each other, talk about our challenges, and it really supports me and helps me keep going. And finally, find something unique to sell. If you try to do exactly the same as everyone else, it can be discouraging because you have to be that much better. So if you find something unique, it will give you a better business plan. That will give you a better chance of getting funding, for one, but also will put you above your competition. In Thunder Bay, there are 70 restaurants and food establishments that offer catering. 70. So as a new caterer, I had to offer something different. So I put myself out as using only whole ingredients, using having special dietary needs consideration, and having that personal touch. So they get to know their chef. And finally, I've got one more point. Have a plan. As we were talking about, when you get hooked up with an entrepreneur center like Paro, they'll help you through it. You don't have to feel like you have to do it on your own, but make a plan so that you're prepared. And make sure it uses your skills and works with your family and with your lifestyle. And allow that plan to be molded as you figure out what works and you listen to your customers. So that's all I have to say.
So, my name is JohN Guarasci. I work for the Business Development Bank of Canada. For those of you that don't know what the Business Development Bank of Canada is, we're a government crown corporation. So we are owned by the federal government. So your tax dollars, when you pay your taxes or any revenues that are generated in Canada, will go to the federal government. They in turn will put it into us to generate a return on that investment. We work with small, medium-sized enterprises. We specialize in 2 areas, which is financing and consulting. So where we work with entrepreneurs, we have a broad range. We have everywhere from the startup, from somebody looking for an idea or somebody looking to buy a business. It's not always about starting something new. It can also be about finding a business and acquiring a business. We also work in complement with the financial institutions. So when we are actually dealing with people, we don't control the whole relationship. We will work with your banker and stuff like that. So we have a broad spectrum of different things we do. On our consulting side, we do offer obviously advice and guidance to companies and people that need it. We, as a Crown Corporation, obviously our mandate is to put entrepreneurs first. So when we obviously get somebody in our doors, we're kind of almost the reality check, because the fact that we are similar to a bank, but we're not a bank. So we're the guys that you're going to come to and say, you know what, I have a business idea, what do I do? And we're the ones that are going to sit down with you and go over the reality of your business plan. So to take from what Rhonda was saying and having a business plan, very key when you come to see a financial institution or a banker, because they want to see what your idea is and how you're going to execute it. So that's your starting point when you're dealing with, when you get to the stage of financing. Another key component when you come to financing is they want to see how personally involved you are in it. If you're not going to put a personal stake into it, whether it be some of your money or your time, then you won't expect the return from a bank either. So That's where there's a balance between the two. And I can't emphasize enough to develop a relationship with your banker. I know Rhonda had touched about relationships and family, but it's also to get those business support services behind you. Poro is a very good one. There are other ones like the Entrepreneurship Center at the CDC. Those guys there are really knowledgeable, informative. But also to develop that relationship with your banker, because they're kind of your advisor. They're the ones that are going to keep the reality checks in terms of your spending or your growth, and they're the ones that are going to be working with you over the long term in order to get your company to where you want it to be. So when Heidi had asked earlier, she had asked in the room how many people were looking at starting a business, and I know there was quite a few of you that put your hands up. So what I like to do when I talk to people in these workshops is I encourage you to ask questions, because this is your chance to just ask and get answers to those things that you want to know. So if any of you have questions at any point in time, definitely raise your hand and I'll be more than willing to answer them for you. But I just want to take you onto the BDC website. By going onto the BDC website, we have what's called an advice center. So that's a great starting point for a lot of people to kind of go to learn the basics and get some information on entrepreneurship and how to start a business. As Heidi had discussed earlier, she had brought up there's an assessment that you can do on the BDC website. And sorry, this is kind of, yeah, oh well, what are you gonna do? There is an assessment that you can do, which is where I had brought this page on the Advice Center. So I do encourage you, as a first step, to do the assessment. This is just to do a general assessment as to do you have all the checks and balances to want to put your business in place or to start your own business. Definitely it's a great place to start. I encourage you after this workshop to go to the website and complete that. And there is also links that can actually take you to other websites such as Service Canada that will also tell you the pros and cons of becoming an entrepreneur, what different resources are out there to become an entrepreneur. And definitely I encourage you to do your research before you kind of finalize what you want to do as a business plan. So if you go through the different steps that are on the BDC website, after you do your assessment and you get a good feel as to what your likes, dislikes are, is this for you? The second step is to obviously create your business plan. In your business plan, you're going to obviously put together a plan of, what is it that you're trying to do, how you're going to market it, how you're going to sell it, who's going to buy it, and you're going to also lay out the financial plan, projections. When you come to a bank, they love projections. And any entrepreneur will tell you that. So, a lot of people that start their own business don't have an accounting background, and that's fine. You don't need that. If you can find somebody that can work with you, and again, that's where it becomes your support group, it can be done. I get a lot of people coming in the door, and I say, well, I need a cash flow projection. They kind of give me that blank look, but there are resources out there that you can definitely tap into. And they're free resources, so you can definitely utilize them to be able to put your projections together. And essentially all you're doing is you're taking what you're saying in your business plan and your marketing plan and showing how those numbers are going to lay out. At the end of the day, how much money are you going to bring in with your idea? And that's what bankers will be looking at. It's cold and hard, it's black and white, but unfortunately there is the reality person when there's money involved. So. And there is a free business plan template on the, that doesn't show the whole thing, on the BDC website. So if you do have a moment, I do encourage you to kind of go through it, because then that will actually take you through the different sections. So step 3 is obviously the startup. That's when you have your business plan in place. So now you got to get your team together. Who's your lawyer? Who's your accountant? Starting up small, you may not be able to get the services of an accountant. So that's when you're starting to look at obviously a bookkeeper, which is a little bit more cost effective in the startup. Or if you obviously don't have the resources to do that, it's learning yourself, getting ACPAC or simply accounting and and pursuing that until you can grow your business to a level where you can actually do get that. Obviously going through government websites where they'll teach you about registration, how do you register your business for HST and all those different factors that can come into play when you're selling products. And then the fourth step is obviously your financing. BDC is just one of a few sources that you can go to. Rhonda had indicated she went to the NOHFC, that's one source for good startup. Paro, I believe, has additional funds as part of their program. If you are dealing with an innovative product or idea, the Innovation Center is definitely a great place to stop by. You can talk to the people there. The Entrepreneurship Center at the CEDC, which is the Thunder Bay Hydro Building, they have somebody there that can work with you in terms of helping find potential financing. And then obviously you have your financial institutions working in combination of them doing lines of credits, bank accounts, or combining it with a term lender such as BDC. And then your fifth step is your first year, so managing your day-to-day operations. And the one thing I can honestly say, and what I experience when I deal with entrepreneurs, and I know this because before I went into BDC, I was an entrepreneur myself, don't hesitate to ask for help. Lots of entrepreneurs hesitate because they want to do it themselves, but there's nothing wrong with asking for help, and there's nothing wrong with working with other people to be able to accomplish your goal. So that's the one thing I would definitely say when you're going into your business. Definitely have that okayness with going out there and asking for help, because there are people that will help you.